A deep generational divide is fracturing the conservative movement as pressure mounts on former President Trump to chart an exit strategy from the Iran conflict. More than 1,000 miles from Washington's power corridors, the war dominated conversations at this year's Conservative Political Action Conference, revealing stark philosophical splits within the Republican base. Older conservatives largely support continued military engagement, viewing the conflict through the lens of traditional foreign policy strength, while younger attendees express growing skepticism about prolonged overseas commitments. The schism reflects broader tensions within the party as Trump faces mounting calls to articulate a clear path forward. Political analysts suggest this internal Republican debate could significantly influence the party's foreign policy platform heading into the next election cycle. The Iran situation has become a litmus test for conservative identity, with implications extending far beyond military strategy to the very soul of the Republican Party's future direction. The White House faces fierce criticism for what critics call the dangerous gamification of the Iran war through its social media communication strategy. Administration officials have been weaving real-life footage of missile strikes and battlefield destruction with clips from popular video games, sports highlights, and Hollywood action sequences in their war updates. The controversial approach has drawn condemnation from media ethics experts who argue it trivializes the human cost of armed conflict and desensitizes the public to warfare's brutal realities. Opposition lawmakers have called emergency hearings to address what they term deeply inappropriate messaging that treats international conflict like entertainment content. The strategy appears designed to engage younger demographics on social platforms, but has backfired spectacularly among traditional media observers and international allies. This unprecedented approach to war communications raises fundamental questions about how democratic governments should present military actions to their citizens in the digital age, potentially setting dangerous precedents for future conflicts worldwide. Pakistani fast bowler Naseem Shah finds himself at the center of a growing controversy after publicly criticizing a politician's attendance at a Pakistan Super League match in Lahore. The cricket star's comments about the unnamed official's presence at the closed-door game's opening ceremony have ignited fierce debate across Pakistani social media and sports circles. Shah's remarks, which question the appropriateness of political figures attending sporting events during current national challenges, have drawn both praise from supporters who appreciate his boldness and sharp criticism from those who believe athletes should avoid political commentary. The Pakistan Cricket Board has yet to issue an official response, but sources suggest internal discussions are underway about potential disciplinary action. This incident highlights the increasingly blurred lines between sports and politics in Pakistan, where cricket remains the nation's most beloved pastime and players wield considerable social influence. The controversy underscores growing tensions between Pakistan's sporting community and political establishment as the country navigates complex domestic and international pressures. Disturbing new evidence has emerged in the Jeffrey Epstein case, revealing how Agent Ramsey El-Khoury allegedly facilitated the disgraced financier's access to young women over nearly a decade. Newly released email correspondence shows El-Khoury actively introducing Epstein to women as young as 18, with communications spanning almost 10 years of what prosecutors describe as systematic exploitation. The emails detail a disturbing pattern where El-Khoury allegedly begged Epstein to engage sexually with models under his representation, raising serious questions about the scope of the trafficking network that enabled Epstein's crimes. Legal experts say this evidence could lead to additional charges against surviving associates and potentially reopen cases involving other high-profile figures in Epstein's circle. The revelations come as federal investigators continue pursuing justice for victims and dismantling what they describe as an extensive criminal enterprise. This latest development demonstrates that the full extent of Epstein's trafficking operation is still being uncovered, with implications that could reach far beyond those already held accountable. British health authorities are launching an urgent review of warnings for Parkinson's medications after discovering that patients were systematically misled about potentially life-altering side effects. The investigation focuses on dopamine agonist drugs, where BBC reporting identified critical errors in patient information leaflets that downplayed risks of impulsive behaviors, including gambling addiction, hypersexuality, and compulsive spending. These misleading warnings have left thousands of Parkinson's patients and their families unprepared for devastating behavioral changes that can destroy relationships and financial security. Medical regulators acknowledge that current patient leaflets fail to adequately communicate the severity and frequency of these psychiatric side effects, which can affect up to 30% of users. The review will examine how pharmaceutical companies and regulatory bodies allowed such significant information gaps to persist for years. Patient advocacy groups are calling for immediate compensation programs and revised treatment protocols that ensure informed consent. This case highlights broader issues with medical transparency and could trigger similar reviews of drug warnings across multiple therapeutic areas worldwide.